Hey guys, it's Scrappinkaty, and I am joining some of my YouTube friends to celebrate Dolly on her 2,000 YouTube subscribers. Today we are celebrating Dolly, or otherwise known as Scrappin' on the Go, and she has reached a milestone on YouTube as far as subscribers. So we are going to scrap lift one of her layouts, and I have chosen this layout right here. It's got some florals and then some subdued patterns, and then of course the oversized kind of scripted title, and then the groupings of embellishments in the top and bottom corners. So that is what I will be scrap lifting today. Let me get my supplies and we can get started. So I'm going to be using the Sawyer collection just because it's been on my table. I've been using it a lot, and I'm going to document these two photos of me and my sister at different times in our life. But I think you've heard me tell the story before. We used to not be the best of friends. She used to try to kill me when we were younger, but now we are, and I'm really loving. Remember in Dolly's inspiration layout, she had that scripted title, and so the sticker sheet says best friends, and so I think I'm going to use that as the title. I've also pulled out the chipboard pieces, and then I have some leftovers that I'll be using of that. And then I have already cut the pieces of paper needed, and I'll leave those measurements down below. And then I've also pulled out the PML cards for Sawyer, and that's just pocket scrapbooking. And I'm going to go through these, again, looking for those groupings. And then also, I like to put these behind the photos. You can definitely use them for pocket scrapbooking, but I tend to not do that as much as I use them for mats. I even make cards, stuff like that. I love that rainbow one, but we already have rainbow stickers. So see, that's kind of already a mat. I love those pennants. And what I love about these is you've got a landscape version and then you've got a portrait version. So if you don't like one side or it's not matching your photos, you definitely can use the other. I believe I like that yellow. And then while we're not butterfly people, I kind of like that one. And then maybe add some journaling. So I've got all my products lined up. So this layout really should come together fairly quickly. I know I always say that, and you girls just hang on and watch what I got to show, but I really think this layout's going to do really well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue these onto a white daisy cardstock base. So before I glue this piece down, I have some shimmer trim that I'm going to put down, but I think I don't want the full 1/2 inch to show. So I think I'm going to line it up before I glue that down. I am going to, even though this has lines on it, they just don't look all that straight to me. So I'm going to bring out my Versamat just to make sure. And then peel off my shimmer trim. I usually leave a tail on my shimmer trim to make it easier, you know, especially with my nails. It makes it easier to pull back when I have that tail that's left on there. Okay, so we are going from there to there. And then let's switch this around. And by adding adhesive to the Versamat, it kind of keeps it in place. It keeps it in place, so if I have to do a whole bunch of things, where is that? It doesn't move that much. And then see, I have this big tail. I'll just trim it where there's just a little bit left. I don't know if you can see that. And then that way the next time I use it, it's really easy to peel off. I am just going to fussy cut a couple of the images from the PML cards out, and those will kind of be used along with the sticker sheet and the chipboard elements. Those will be used for my groupings in the top left and bottom right corner, just like that inspiration piece. And again, when I fussy cut, if you're new to fussy cutting, I like the look of leaving a tiny border around the edge. It almost makes it look like a sticker. And then also I find that it's just a little more forgiving. So if you mess up, you know, your cut isn't as straight, or maybe you're cutting a rounded edge, if you have this little border, it's a little more forgiving than if you cut directly on the outside line of the image. So I'm just going to finish this up, as well as some of the floral pieces on those PML cards, and then we can come back and start layering all these little embellishment clusters together. Liking that. I'm just going to try to nicely move that off to the side. Kind of straighten these up and see what I can cut. So you can see that the majority of this is not going to show. So I'm just going to cut that off, so I can either use it on a different project or maybe even on this one. For the most part though, I think I'm going to leave this one intact. So we can go ahead and glue that down. And then I still need to leave room for my title, you know, that scripted best friends title. So I'm going to make sure that this is up toward the top of the layout. And then I'm not sure if I am going to leave that sentiment love on there, or if I'm going to replace it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my sister, but we'll just see. And then I think I'm actually going to add some 3D foam tape to probably that one. So let's go ahead and get this one glued down. I want to make sure that that little tab shows, and then I want to make sure that this little corner shows. So I'm going to tilt that ever so slightly and then add some 3D foam tape to this one. So again, just want to be careful about the placement, making sure that little tab shows. And then let me turn this over and really press down. Okay, and then I have this, but I'm thinking best friends. You know what, let's just go ahead and get that title down on there. So I carefully peeled off that sticker using my tweezers. And then I have it on my all-purpose mat, and I have the Harbor ink, which is that darker blue. And then my sponge. And while the majority of the stickiness probably is still on the sticker, I'm going to use liquid adhesive to adhere it down. I'm just going to move that over to the side, and then when we're ready, I'm going to pull it directly from that versus trying to peel it off right now and find somewhere to put it. Tape adhesive would work, it's easier for me to pull out my liquid adhesive. You could also add this stuff on 3D foam tape, but I just don't really go all the way to the edge of any of the flowers or anything, and then just kind of use your finger to make those edges go up like that, and it almost gives it that 3D effect. And then I'll find something there to hide that harshness. Okay, and then we've got this right here. Just going to place that right there until I'm sure that's where I want it. And then let's take a look at this title. Again, I want to place it first before the little pennants at the bottom, because I think I'm going to have to trim those pennants down, those ones that I cut from that PML card. So I am thinking I'm going to have to scoot this over a little bit. I want it overlapping our photo. Well, what do they say about if the roads were paved with good intentions? So even though I love that so much, I just don't think it's going to work. But there is a BFF on here. Okay, so for ease, I just fussy cut this out. Again, being super lazy. And then just the scratch piece of paper, I'm just going to cut a white cardstock circle slightly larger than what I cut out. And my hopes is that it won't go into those little scallop parts or whatever you call them of that ribbon. And then I can back this. BFF. Okay. And then I can adhere this down. I was wondering why that wasn't accurate. Well, because that wasn't the side that I cut. Sorry, talking to myself. Okay, so we've got that. We are going to remove the sticky from these stickers using my anti-static pouch and the lid to my stamp chamois. And that will allow me to add some 3D foam tape. So I have sped up the embellishing quite a bit. You can see that I only adhered part of this pennant down and then cut off the rest. And then I'm going to take a look at the sticker sheet, and there are a few hearts that I want to add as well as some flowers. Now I will attach some of those to my anti-static pouch to take the stickiness off, but other than that I'm just sticking them directly onto my layout. Again, kind of thinking in threes and in a triangle. So that is pretty much the sticker sheet except for 1 sentiment up at the top. Again, I'm going to take the sticky off and add some 3D foam tape to the back of that. And then that will go over our photos. I will bring out my T-ruler here in just a second to make sure it's straight. It's always hard to do that behind the camera, and I don't like to get my head in the way. So these little flowers, I'm going to adhere them down using my 3D foam circles. It makes it super easy. And again, I'm just going to add them to those flower clusters that are on the left and the right of the photo. And then that third one, that is where I'm going to hide that harshness of that one on the right. And then I'm going to bring out some clear sparkles to go ahead and add into those clusters and up at the top by that little sticker that I added. And then, of course, down around that BFF pennant. It just seems to be lacking something after I cut the inside of that ribbon out and then added that white daisy cardstock. So I've brought out my La Pen. It's in a dark blue. And then I'm also going to add some little doodling dots. Here in just a second, I'll show you a close-up of those. It's one of my favorite things to do. And then I'm going to take some more of that Harbor ink and then that sponge that I had out and just ink all around the edges. It really wasn't necessary, but I sure do like how it looked afterwards. It just kind of completed the layout, if you ask me. So here is a look at those sparkles and then those little dots. Basically, I just make a triangle with my pen and then add those randomly throughout the layout. Here are some still shots. Again, I love the layout of Dolly's. Basically, those 3 panels of the pattern paper, that bold floral in the center, and then, of course, those clusters in the top and the bottom. Even though my top cluster really didn't work out, overall, I am happy with the layout. Don't forget, I will leave links down below. If you liked what you saw, please leave a comment and a thumbs up. And then don't forget to join the other YouTubers that are participating in Dolly's Hop to congratulate her on her 2,000 subscriber milestone. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching.